So I realize some of you will know some of these songwriters, but I'm hoping that these are new to some folks out there, and I tried to pick 10 songwriters that I haven't talked about as much. There's obvious ones, lesser known big songwriters that I spent a lot of time talking about: Joan Shelley, Jay Farrar, I don't know, Chris Bell. But here I tried to select folks that I haven't talked about that much, and I'll tell you a little bit about them. And these are some of my overall favorites. So hopefully some new folks or some new acts to some of you guys, some of you folks out there. So this is Tim Easton. Lane, my brother, this is, and I think in his top 5 of all time. It's a record called Special 20. It's tremendous. I think it came out in 98 or 99. I saw Tim Easton at South by Southwest around the time that this came out. He played in like an old church. He had a stand-up bassist. I think the bassist was a guy from that band The Sun that was around for a little while. I don't know whatever happened. I think they were signed to a major label deal and then just sort of disappeared. Tim Easton, this record, Special 20, and I think it's called Break Your Mother's Heart, are my 2 favorites. Tremendous records. Rewind on this song. Listen to that track. This is a more recent discovery. Kathleen Edwards. I've known about her forever, but the songs I'd heard I never really got into. And this also, I can attribute this to Lane as well. He was a big fan. And when I looked at a bunch of his Spotify playlists, he had a mix for Kathleen Edwards, and he put a lot of her songs on various comps. And now I listen to her all the time. If you look at the past year, she's probably the artist that I've listened to the most, or she's in the top 3. This is Total Freedom, her most recent. And I think this is the first record she put out in a long time. I believe she lives in Canada, and I think quit writing music and performing and opened up a coffee shop, and I think it was called Quitters, or is called Quitters. I think it's still there. Maybe outside of Toronto. But she came back in, what year was this? 2020 with this record, which has some fantastic songs on it. Glenn Fern, Hard on Everyone. Fader is a great record of hers. Highly, highly recommend Kathleen Edwards. I've talked about this, but I have to include it, especially since my dog Bennett is on the cover, which I've said many times. Brent Best, also known as the lead singer of Slobberbone, as well as the Drams. This is his one solo effort. Oh, looks like sleeves coming out here. Which came out, I think, in 2015. Somewhere right around there, on Last Chance Records, which puts out a lot of great music. The song, each one I'll name a song. Robert Cole, one of the best songs ever written, which is on this. And yes, that whole photo is me. Well, that's not me. I took that in a desert. I've told the story 7,000 times on this channel. A desert in, I think it was Winnemucca. Is that Nevada? Yeah. He saw it, and he had a gentleman formerly of Whiskey Town do like the post-production, because it was a black and white photo, to give it this cool coloring and sort of these effects. Brent Best, I had a line at a late night South by Southwest party. A bunch of us were hanging out in a hotel room. Brent Best was there, and I just kept saying Brent Best is a better songwriter than Paul Westerberg. The next day, I think it was the most hungover I've ever been in my life. But I still stand by that statement. Next is Ted Hawkins. My cousin Buck and I have connected over Ted Hawkins. This is one of those records that I found it in a record store, and your heart starts racing. I didn't even know that this existed on vinyl. This is maybe 10 years ago at Amoeba for $5. This record is fantastic. The song on here, I would recommend. These are so good. Revenge of Scorpio. That's one on here that's great. Looks like he covers a Curtis Mayfield song, but the rest of the songs are written by Ted Hawkins. Or Happy Hour is also a cover. Check out all of his stuff. Ted Hawkins, just an incredible, incredible talent. I know I've mentioned Josh Rouse before, but this record in particular, 1972, 10.0. This is a perfect record. When this came out, I was absolutely floored. I couldn't believe, because I had seen Josh Rouse open up for Sunvolt, I believe, at the Bowery Ballroom in New York City. Didn't really like him, sort of passed on him. Then my good friend Dave, who may watch these videos, he bought Under Cold Blue Stars, which came out right before this. One day he said, hey, come on over to my place in Brooklyn. I think it was like a Saturday, and we were going to drink beers and go to the Brooklyn Inn like we did almost every weekend. And he put in Under Cold Blue Stars, and I said, who is this? He said, this is that guy Josh Rouse that we had heard of and sort of bypassed. And then Rouse put out, the next record was this, 1972, which is, like I said, it sounds like 1972, and it is a masterpiece. David Dondero, this is my favorite record of his, Simple Love. My friend the archivist, Amanda, who's on Mazzy's channel a lot, she did the artwork. I believe she was project managed the artwork for this record. I didn't pick a song from the Josh Rouse record. I would go with Rise. I used to play Rise when I was considering moving to California, and I would play it over and over and over and over. It's about a guy who's in his early 30s and sort of a rut, which is where I was, and I played that as inspiration to move here. David Dondero, the track on here, Rothko Chapel, one of my favorite songs by anyone. This is a remarkable record. He also has a record called South of the South, I think it's called, which is really, really good. Next is a British songwriter, Bap Kennedy. This is his own, I think there might be two of his records on vinyl. The one he did for E Squared, which I should do a video on E Squared, Steve Earle's label, Domestic Blues, that is his best, but this is also great. Bap Kennedy, sadly, I believe he died of cancer, maybe 5 years ago. I never got to see him perform, but I absolutely love Bap Kennedy. Check out Domestic Blues. It opens with Steve Earle and Bap Kennedy laughing. It's just, and I'm not going to pick a song on this record. I'll pick a song on that record, Mostly Water, a song that I played thousands of times after it came out. Next, haven't even opened this yet. Kelly Willis. I've mentioned her a bunch. My favorite records of hers are her EP. I'm totally blanking. Fading Fast. That's the EP that I've talked about. I would listen to He Don't Care About Me on that EP. This I've listened to a lot digitally. Backbeat Blues, a great song. Kelly Willis was on MCA. I think then she went to Ryko Disc. Looks like she's on 30 Tigers, at least when this one came out in 2018. Just tremendous. Her records from like 98, 99, 2000, 2001 are all just incredible. And for some reason, the names of the Easy is one. That's the second one. Whatever came before Easy, I think it was. It's escaping me, but Kelly Willis still makes great music. Austin, Texas, wonderful. Talk about him all the time, but I had to pick him. Richard Buckner, probably the most, in my eyes, maybe the most underrated songwriter ever, after maybe Townes Van Zandt, who I didn't pick because I talk about Townes Van Zandt on basically every video. But Richard Buckner, he had a 4-record run of Bloomed. This is his first record. Next was Devotion and Doubt, which I think is his best, followed by Since, which I think that was on MCA as well, followed by The Hill, that is one of the greatest 4-run albums ever. I believe he lives in upstate New York now. He hasn't put out a record in many years. Put out a book, which I bought and never read. I should try and read that. The song I will pick on here is Gauzy Dress in the Sun. Fantastic song. One of Lane's favorites. Lane's nickname was Kessler, and it was from a Richard Buckner song. Next, Scott Miller also was the lead singer, or the co-lead singer of the V-Roys, who I saw once at Wetlands opening up for God Street Wine in the late 90s. And I remember Steve Earle was standing next to me with a very young Justin Townes Earle. Steve Earle was on Conan O'Brien that night with the V-Roys, Scott Miller's band. And I said something stupid like, "Hey Steve, it's cool to meet you." And he just sort of shrugged it off. Scott Miller has so many great records. The song on here that I'll go with is Yes I Won't. Man, I played that song a billion times. And last one, it's really just this record. A.A. Bondi, American Hearts. A tremendous, tremendous record. I will say on here, Lover's Waltz is probably my favorite song. This came out 2008 on the great Fat Possum Records. I don't know what A.A. Bondi's been up to. I think he put out a record, Rudderless, I think it was called, like 3 or 4 years ago. I haven't really listened to it. But this, I got into A.A. Bondi right after I moved to San Francisco. Never got to see him live. I hope he still tours. I'd love to see him. But this is just a tremendous, tremendous record, the whole thing. And that's it. Those are 10 artists, or 10 singer-songwriters that if you don't know, you should check out. Oh, I named the song. I know this is my first video in a while. It's been a busy couple weeks. A lot of Yankee games, a little bit of work, a lot of work actually, last couple weeks. Taking care of my dog, Bennett, who is in his elder years. I now have to sort of half carry him up the stairs every night. But his spirits are still good, and I'm spending a lot of time with him. I'm gonna hang out with him this weekend. Maybe FaceTime with my friends in Chicago and Minneapolis. That's about it. Watch some baseball, seeing a friend on Sunday. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you have a good weekend, and I hope you are all doing well.